He's so amazing and marvelous that he has his own television show on Facebook. I'm not even sure what that means. Anyway, you're watching The Chris White Show.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Hey, it's Chris White on The Chris White Show. This is episode 3, and I found something really cool on Facebook. It is called The Log, and I am here with, the guy who really set up The Log. His name is Robert Bush Sr. And Robert, tell us where you're from exactly.
I'm from about the center of Pennsylvania, up in the mountains.
So what's it like to live up in the mountains? I guess you see all kinds of different wildlife. What kinds of things do you see?
Yeah, well, if you see the log at all, you see what we see. It's just outdoors everywhere. I mean, ever since I grew up, you could go out the backyard and you were in the woods.
So I take it you're a big outdoorsman.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I love the outdoors. It's relaxing. Love being out in the mountains.
And you're a hunter, or do you just appreciate wildlife, or both?
I do both. I mean, I set up the log. I have my Facebook page is just strictly wildlife. I don't do any sort of hunting posts on it. I am an avid hunter. But I realize some people, I have friends and family that don't want to see hunting stuff, and I just made a location where people could view it and not worry about seeing it.
Exactly. So how did you happen to set up the log? How did you come across it? Was it already there, or is that something you kind of initiated by putting it across is it a creek? What kind of body of water is that?
Yeah, it's a creek or a stream, depending on what part of the country I guess you're in. But me and my father started setting up trail cameras, and like I said, about 2014, and started just doing photos and got into the videos and set them up on game trails. We don't bait at all. Every now and then you'll find a dead animal. We'll set up a camera on a dead animal and see what comes in. And we're walking along the stream one day, and I saw this log, and it was already there, and there was a tree, good place to post a camera on, and I just wanted to see what didn't want to get its feet wet.
No,
the stream.
Were you surprised at the number of things you caught? Like, with your initial reaction, the first video you watched, were you very surprised at what you got?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was just, we saw a lot of fishers. Bobcats were really using it a lot. Obviously, bears, got a lot of bears. Recently, we've been getting coyotes, which is kind of new. Minks, You see the log, you'll see everything that crosses. There's a few more critters out there, but
now
I've gotten close to that. But
now, what body of water is that? Is that a creek, or what is that? Is it just a creek, a general creek, or is that an actual got a name to it?
It's got a name to it. It's a stream.
Okay.
I don't put that information out there. Obviously, there's a lot of hunters and trappers that know exactly what it was.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Now, has that log moved or changed since you found it? Has the water pushed it further down, or any of that?
No, it seems like it's pretty secure. In February here, part of the movie I did, The Log, you can see a clip where the water's just totally, you can't even see the log. It's just roaring over it.
Right.
And it did not seem to move. May have moved some that I couldn't tell, but it doesn't seem like it has really moved. It still feels very secure on there.
Now, what kind of camera is that you are using on the log?
Well, the movie itself, I have two different ones. The first one I used was a Moultrie camera, an i990, and then I got a Browning Special Ops Extreme that had a little better video quality. The reaction time, the trigger speed was a little faster, by almost a second faster.
Right. Now, where can you get that camera? Is that something you can buy locally, like on an Amazon, or where?
Sure. I always go to a site called trailcampro.com. They do great reviews and testing, and a lot of the companies like Browning, Bushnell, the different companies, they will actually contact them and see how the testing goes, and they'll update them. You know.
Now, what is your favorite thing you've captured so far?
It's got to be the bears and the cubs.
And you've got a lot of bears up there. I was looking at some of your videos, and you've got. Do you run across a lot of bears just out in the woods? You know, when you're just out and about.
No. In the wintertime, you'll come across. You know, in the early winter, you come across their tracks.
Right.
You know, in November, December, and that. But I've definitely ran into them in the wild. You never know. It's big country. And they move around, but there's more than one bear there. I mean, there's, I believe, 3 different bears that I can tell that have been using the log.
And what's the oddest thing you've captured? Have you ever gone back to play a video and think, "Whoa, what's that all about?"
Back when I started doing photos, and that would be like up on the state game lands more, some different state game lands than this, but that you would see lights that are out in the middle of the woods that you're like, there's no road there. You're trying to figure out.
You think it's aliens? Yeah. Are you saying there's aliens out there?
That's what I always thought. It's like, I don't know if I want to be out here at night.
I don't blame you. Now, why do you think people are just so fascinated about the log?
A lot of people, I think it's just the amount of different critters that cross it, that use the same, from prey to predators.
Right.
You have everything from a little mouse crossing to a big bear. I think that's the biggest response I get is people just can't believe how many different. And it's only the movie I did was only a 10-month, anything across it in the last 10 months. So it wasn't even a full year. The amount of stuff that's crossed it.
Now, have you inspired people to get their own cameras and go out? Or people messaging you and say, "Hey, I saw your video and I like it, and I've got a camera going now"? Have you had any of that?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of people asking me recommendations and asking me about setups, and definitely saying they were inspired by it. Different nonprofit groups I've had museums asked to use it. A lot of school teachers. I actually have a YouTube page also, because most schools can't use Facebook.
Right.
It seems, but they can use YouTube. So
right.
A lot of elementary schools and that have gotten in touch with me about using it.
Now, what advice do you give people setting up a camera for their first time? What should people look for?
Me personally, the first cameras I always got did not have a viewer window on it.
Okay.
So when you're setting it up, it might have a little red light indicating it's detecting movement.
Right.
But you set it up and you come back the next week, and if you don't have a way to view it right there, then you might just have a bunch of kneecaps. And you might not know that till you get home with the SD cards.
Right.
And then the next week, you got to go and try to make adjustments.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I got some great videos of, the tops of bobcats' heads.
Right.
Standing there staring at the camera, and a lot of deer kneecaps, like I said. So I really got into, they're a little bit more, but I like the viewer screen so you can actually see what you're setting up and looking at with what it's going to take a picture of.
Right.
Yeah. I always try, you don't want to get a lot of sky space,
right.
If you're setting it up and you have a lot of sky space, you're not getting things up there. You
right.
want it down as low as you can to get, all the different critters. But, even a deer or a bear walking through the woods isn't going to be higher than your chest, So if you have somebody with you and they're standing there, and that's what we do, is my father will stand there and I can see where he's at. Well, I just went from his chest down. If I can, see the ground, then that's all the better.
Now, where can the viewers find your videos and your Facebook group?
My Facebook group is called Bob's Pennsylvania Wildlife Camera.
Okay.
And my YouTube page is called Bush's Pennsylvania Wildlife Game Camera.
All right. They can find all your stuff there. And tell me this, have you captured a good, clear photo of Bigfoot yet, Sasquatch?
Not yet. Still waiting on that. And then the elusive Pennsylvania mountain lion.
Yep. You've got things still to capture, Bob. You still got things to capture.
That's right.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time today, and thanks so much, and I really appreciate you being on the show.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Pleasure meeting you, and be sure to check out Bob's Pennsylvania Wildlife Camera on Facebook. Thanks so much, Bob.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye.